Okay, welcome everybody to today's class. We're looking at idioms and phrasal verbs once again. Now, I always say at the start of the class that if you do want to buy a phrasal verb book, I recommend my own book. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Visual Phrasal Verbs. This is a colour version, which is the more expensive version. It's £35, and you can see the colour version here. Somebody asked me to flick through it recently. Well, you can see there are plenty of exercises, there are plenty of images, and there are plenty of tables to help you with your phrasal verbs. So that's the colour version, but I do have a black and white version which is £20. So I wanted to have a cheaper version because I agree that £35 is quite a lot of money. £20 for the black and white version if you're happy with black and white. Or you can get the colour version in an ebook, and that is from my website, which is not up on the board today. So I'll quickly write it: Skype-lessons.com. But I will put a link under the video, and you can buy the ebook from Skype-lessons.com, the PDF version with hyperlinks, and that version is in colour, and that version is £20 as well. I'm really pleased with how it's selling at the moment. This month has been a very good month for book sales. I've sold lots of PDFs and I've sold a lot of the physical copies as well. So thanks to everybody who's been buying this book, because it certainly helps me to write the next book. And I'm getting far in the next book. I reckon I've done about half of my next grammar book, and I've already done at least 30 or so pages of the idioms and phrasal verbs book. So they're all coming, they're on the way. So thanks everybody who's been supporting me, who's bought the book. Please give me a review on Amazon as well. I really do appreciate any Amazon reviews, that really helps me. Yeah, thanks to all of you that have gone out and bought that book, because it really helps, and I hope you like it. Okay, so this is from another book called Advanced Phrasal Verbs and Idioms, or Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs. I can't remember which way round it is. It's a white book. I think Stuart Redman is one of the authors, and you can buy that on Amazon as well. And I recommend it. It's a good book, but I think my book's better, of course. Okay, so I've done lots of lessons on other topics. If you're wondering about other topics, write it in the search bar, Mr. Skype Lessons, how to improve your English, and you'll see that I've done some other classes on that topic. Okay, so this is from chapter 41 and a bit of chapter 42, and it's from that white book that you can find on Amazon. But a lot of the phrasal verbs, in fact all of the phrasal verbs more or less, are already in my book. So if you want to get a book on phrasal verbs, get that one. So if you say that team with their new centre forward will take some beating, it just means that that team's a very difficult team to beat. Yeah, and so you use this, they will take some beating, or that score will take some beating, if it's going to be very difficult to beat. That's all. So you might even use this about an exam. Maybe you've got 91% as your mark on an exam, and the teacher might say, that's a wonderful score. That score will take some beating, meaning it will be very difficult to beat that score. Okay, if you've got something up your sleeve, if you have something up your sleeve, or if you keep something up your sleeve, it sounds like you've got a secret plan that you're ready to use if everything else fails. You've got some kind of secret plan, some kind of method that you're going to use at the last moment to get victory, to be victorious, yeah, to win something. So maybe we're talking about football again, and maybe you have a really good player that you're keeping on the bench, yeah, substitute. He's not playing from the start, but you're keeping him on the bench, and you're going to put him on the field when you need him. And so you've got this player up your sleeve, you've got him up your sleeve, yeah. You could use it like that, but it could be anything, any secret plan that you have for the future. You have that thing up your sleeve, and this is like magicians have. They have something up their sleeve, yeah, usually whatever they've used, whatever they've made disappear, it's up their sleeve. But we use it for secret plans that you're going to bring out at the last moment. Now, if something hots up, it usually means that it gets more exciting. If you talk about a match, a tennis match, let's say, not a football match, but maybe there's a game of tennis going on, and you might say it's hotting up, that just means that it's getting more and more and more exciting. So I want you to compare this with jazz something up, which means to make something more exciting, or sex something up, which means to make it more exciting. They're slightly different because these two mean to make something more exciting, and this means to become more exciting. So the match is hotting up, the competition is hotting up. It just means it's getting more exciting, but it's related to these other phrasal verbs, and yet they are all in this book. Or not hot up, actually, I missed that one. That will have to come out in the second book, but these three are certainly in there. And do something up means to decorate. And so this up very often means to make something more exciting, or to decorate something, or to an increase in activity. This can even mean just an increase in activity. Okay, if something tips the balance in your favour, it gives you an advantage and it makes it look like you're going to win. Yeah, so again, a lot of these are sporting expressions, or work very well if you're describing sport. So maybe you get the advantage of the wind behind you. Maybe there's a strong wind and that helps your team to attack. And maybe you might say the advantage of having the wind behind us tipped the balance in our favour. Yeah, something like that. Or maybe there's a hill and you're playing downhill, and you might say that tipped the balance in your favour. Yeah, so this just means it gave you an advantage. It tipped the balance in your favour or in his favour, that kind of thing. Okay, if one team comes out on top, that means that they win, that they beat the other team, they come out on top. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be when two teams are playing each other. It could even be a horse race. We have a very big horse race in England called the Grand National. And in the end, one horse and jockey comes out on top. Yeah, it beats all the other horses. It wins the race. So if you come out on top, you win. You come out in first place. That is to come out on top, to get first place in some kind of way. You could even use it for students. If one student gets the top mark, 91%, he comes out on top. Now, I think everybody knows this expression. I think it's a Latin expression, and if somebody is a dark horse, then they're mysterious in some kind of way. They maybe keep their cards close to their chest, and they don't reveal much about their personality or their situation. So they are a dark horse. They're mysterious in some kind of way. Maybe they they don't let anybody in on their private life or their past, their background, in which case you could say that person is a dark horse. And do remember the phrasal verb let somebody in on. It means reveal your secrets to somebody. Yeah, so let somebody in on, reveal your secrets. Now, if two horses are neck and neck, it means they're at the same level. Yeah, neither horse is in front. They're both at the same level. It's a tie at that moment, a tie. So if the score is 0-0, you might say both teams are neck and neck, but we don't usually for teams. But runners, this is normally used for runners, races, that kind of thing. So two runners can certainly be neck and neck. Two cyclists could be neck and neck in the Tour de France. And it just means they're at exactly the same level. Yeah, neither one is in front. They're both at the same level. Okay, if your future hangs in the balance, that means it's uncertain. Okay, that's all it means. It means it's uncertain. Your future is uncertain. And I want you to remember another good one here. It's touch and go weather. This also means that something is uncertain, that the future hangs in the balance, that you're not sure if it's going to be a good future or a bad future. Very often we use this for health. You might say after the operation it was touch and go whether he would survive, something like that. But I think we have had it before, and I think I made a mistake with it and said touch or go weather. It's touch or go weather, and it's meant to be touch and go weather. So do have a look at that. Check that I've got it right. I might have made a mistake again, and it might be touch or go. I'm not sure. But it's actually a very old one. It does go back a long way, and it is quite often that you hear it. Okay, if you give something your all or give something your best shot, it means you try your hardest for something. You give it 100% effort. So when you're learning English, I want you to give it your all. I want you to give it your best shot. Same for when you're learning grammar, same for when you're learning vocabulary. I want you to do it again and again and again, a little bit every day, and you will find that that's perhaps the best way to learn anything. Just go all out is another one. That's excellent. To go all out is also to give something your best shot, or to give it your all, to go all out. It does mean, yeah, to really make a massive effort. Okay, if something comes down to something else, that means that it hinges on that something else. So it ultimately depends on something else. I would translate it as that. Ultimately depend on, come down to. So I always use an example of global warming for this one. I'm not going to do that this time. I've decided, no, I've done that too many times. You might say something like the result of the election or the result of the referendum came down to, I'm not sure, the government's new policy, something like that. It was the government's new policy that decided the election result. Yeah, the election result came down to a government policy, or maybe the election result came down to a certain personality. So it could be one or the other, yeah, something like that. Sorry, sometimes I get distracted because I start to read the comments, and I try to read the comments, but a lot of them aren't related to this, and so that will always stop my flow, really, and that's why I'm afraid I'm going to have to ignore a lot of the comments. I'm just not able to think about many things at the same time. So yeah, come down to, ultimately depend on, and to hinge on. But I want you to remember two other ones that we've come across in previous lessons. We also came across put something down to something, and this is when you're ascribing causes to certain effects. You might say, I put the hot weather down to, I'm not sure. I put the hot weather down to more pollution in the area. Maybe there's thick clouds everywhere, and that's keeping the temperatures much higher than they ought to be. And you could even say, I chalk the hot weather up to. And this is the same thing. You're ascribing causes to the hot weather. Okay? Thank you. Boiled down to is 100% related to these two. And so that's a very good comment, thanks, I appreciate that. And this is why I do try to keep an eye on the comments, because when it's something like that, I like it. It's an extra phrasal verb, which means basically come down to, hinge on, boil down to. So thanks very much, and hello Alexander. Now, if you manage to pull something off, or to bring something off, you manage to succeed in some kind of way. Maybe you have a performance at school, and maybe you are in the main role, and maybe you have a lot of lines to learn, and so you're nervous beforehand. You might not be able to pull it off. You might not be able to learn all the lines and perform successfully. And so pull something off or bring something off when it goes down well, when you manage to do something successfully. You pull it off, you bring it off. Okay. Now, if you pay the price for something, this just simply means that you suffer because of some kind of mistake or bad deed that you committed. Maybe you're a smoker and you pay the price for it. You end up in hospital, something like that. You might say he paid the price for his chain smoking. Yeah, that would work, and it just means you went to hospital because of it. You suffered because of it. So I think that one's quite clear. I think that you probably have some similar version in your own languages. Okay, if something is a dream come true, then it's wonderful. It's exactly what you wanted. It's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a dream come true. So this could be anything. Maybe you might say our holiday was a dream come true. Yeah, it was exactly what we wanted, and everything panned out well. The hotel was wonderful. It was luxurious. The food was delicious. The people were fantastic and friendly and polite and lovely. The whole holiday was a dream come true. But it could be something else. This is very flexible. You could use it in a lot of different ways. And again, I think it's quite clear. Now, if you decide to play it safe, you decide to do something very cautiously, very carefully. And of course, perhaps this is a wise idea in a lot of different situations to play it safe. But you don't even need the it sometimes, you can just play safe. But I think we do often say to play it safe. And so yeah, to proceed with caution, to be careful, to proceed cautiously, carefully. Now, if something is a close shave or a close call, it means you almost failed, but just about succeeded. Yeah, and so it sounds like maybe you almost crashed your car or something like that. Maybe you were almost in a collision, but you just managed to skid out of the way of the oncoming traffic at the last moment. You can say that was a close shave, we almost crashed. That was a close call, we almost crashed. And yeah, to come within a whisker of something is very similar. Now, if you look back on something, you remember something from a long time ago. Yeah, a narrow escape and by the skin of your teeth. Well done. Excellent examples, guys. Well done. If you do something by the skin of your teeth, you just managed to pass the exam by the skin of your teeth, yeah? You didn't pass with flying colours, you passed by the skin of your teeth, meaning you got 61% and the pass mark was 60. So you passed by the skin of your teeth. It was a close shave, it was a close call. And somebody mentioned another really good one there. A couple of people did, so thanks very much, guys. Do have a look at the comments, everybody, afterwards, because a lot of people are putting up some very useful comments. I mean, other words that are very similar, and so they're helping us expand our vocabulary. So look back on means to reminisce about the past. You can look back on your childhood with pleasure. Yeah, perhaps you had a really happy childhood and you look back on it with pleasure. And you can think back to your childhood as well. And so these are very similar. Look back on your childhood, think back to your childhood. Both of them mean consider your childhood from a position of the future. But you can look back on any old memories. It's when you reminisce. Now, if you pull somebody's leg, you are joking, you are kidding them, you are having them on. Excellent phrasal verb here, which means to pull somebody's leg, to have somebody on. To mess somebody around would be similar. You could even say that. Mess somebody around can mean that you're never on time. You arrange a class perhaps and then you suddenly cancel at the last moment. That would be messing somebody around. But it's also taking the mick. Somebody's just said, yes, taking the mickey, taking the mick. Even taking the piss, which is a little bit ruder, but taking the mickey. Putting somebody on? No, having somebody on, I would say, Louisa. No, not Louisa, I'm not sure. Sorry, it's in Arabic and I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that language. But yeah, to have somebody on, maybe to put somebody on. Are you putting me on? Are you having me on? Maybe sometimes we do say put. It's rarer. Are you putting me on? I would normally say have, personally, and so I'm going to put a line through it. But yeah, perhaps it is. It does sound familiar to me. Are you putting me on? Are you having me on? Well, I mean, they would certainly be identical. If it is out there, I think it's just not as common as have somebody on or pulling somebody's leg. Okay, so all of them mean to kid somebody, to take the miss, to take the mick, or to take the mickey, or maybe to take the piss. Okay, if you play a practical joke on somebody, it means that you play a joke on them, but it's a practical joke where you do something to put them in an embarrassing situation or a silly situation. Yeah, it's not quite the same as making fun of somebody, because I think when you make fun of somebody, you're making comments. It's not practical, it's a spoken thing. You're making comments to embarrass that person or to make that person, not usually to make them laugh, but to make other people laugh at them. That's usually what it is when you make fun of somebody. But play a practical joke on someone. Maybe you tell someone that it's April the 2nd, but really it's April the 1st and you just want to see them, I don't know, mess up their schedule, that kind of thing. If you say something tongue-in-cheek, then you're saying it without being serious. You're joking in some kind of way. And if you laugh your head off, you laugh for a very long time. And it's exactly the same as to be in stitches. It means to really, really laugh about something. And I want you to remember that with be in stitches, you can also double up or double over in stitches. And that means that you're laughing so much you're bending over. You are laughing and laughing and laughing. You're doubling up in stitches. You're doubling over in stitches. You've got to be kind of bending over when you're doubling over or doubling up. Doubling up to me sounds more like that, and doubling over sounds more like that. But you've got to be bending when you're laughing. And that's the idea, that you're laughing so much that you're bending over, you're holding your chest. You can also double up in excruciating agony, which is perhaps odd, but it is the case. You can double up in agony or you can double up in laughter. And I suppose that when you laugh, there is something painful about laughing, about really laughing, about laughing in a really big way. Okay, I hope that's all clear. Thanks everybody who's given extra words, extra vocabulary that is similar to the words on the board. That's always helpful. I appreciate it. And I'm sure that a lot of other people out there will be pleased with other terms as well. And I'd like to remind you that if you do want a phrasal verb book, you've got this book here, Visual Phrasal Verbs. Plenty of pictures, plenty of exercises to keep you busy. And yeah, cracking up is certainly in here at some point. If you crack up, then you double over in stitches. Crack up is an excellent one, meaning laugh laugh heartedly, somebody said. Yeah, laugh and laugh and laugh. And don't forget burst out laughing. That's also a good one for when you start laughing. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. As always, like and subscribe and all the rest of it. And I'll be making some new classes over the next few days. I'm hoping to take a new direction with some classes. I'm hoping to do some old philosophy videos as well, because I haven't done any philosophy videos for some time. And no doubt I'll be doing some lessons for me as well, involving Russian grammar. But that's really for me, and you know, I know it's not perhaps what people want to see if they're waiting for English classes, but it's because I actually remember lots of what I write on my board, and I remember lots when I talk about it, and so that's why I like doing those lessons as well, because I also want to learn different things. Yeah, that's why I will start going in some new directions as well. But thanks everybody for watching. I hope to see you all soon.